Hello, and today we're going to talk about setting up our form and our JavaScript to do some form validation. Um, we will create a file inside of our JS folder, and we can do it one of two ways. We can either do it here in our Notepad++, and it will be a JavaScript file um, named either main or um, script or some other thing. Um, and then we will add our code into it. So I'm going to make it in this, and we're going to save it as JS, switch this to be a JavaScript file, and then we're going to call it we can call it main. And then we're going to look at our contact form and work on adding in a form that will submit its validation to be able to, it'll respond back. And then if everything's clear, it'll mimic that an email was sent. So the section ID is going to be contact form. And then we're going to start with our form method, which will be post. And the name and the ID can be the same. Then we're going to use some of our form attributes. And we're going to have our form row, which will keep our pieces together, and we will have our form groups. So this one is a name field. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit so that everybody can see. And you see here in our JS file, we have the main now. We have a text file for our name, or a text field, sorry, for our name with the ID of name, the ID of email, type email, and then there'll be a span for the error messages. There's going to be a subject and the college name, the name of your college, and then your message. And we can change this up from name of your college to be, since it's about butterflies, your favorite butterfly. And then we can change these to more adequately represent the item that we have here, because it's not college. It is now butterfly. There. Enter your favorite butterfly. And then a message. And then if we save this and go back here, your favorite butterfly. And if we open the page, it brings it to our pale blue background. Now you can see this is taking up a whole lot of the screen. We'll fine tune some of that in a little bit. Put that over there. Oh, it's peeking out. Okay, two different size screens. So for our JavaScript, if you look here at the contact form, it says return validate form. So we're going to do a little bit of JavaScript validation. There's an awful lot of form validation that is done now in the DOM without having to get too um, too verbose, especially if we set the field to be required. So give me 1 second. I have lost my mouse. Whoop. There we go. That's why it was opened over here. So for accessibility purposes, you can add the required attribute to your form fields. So we'll want to have our name be required, the email address be required, the subject required. They don't have to tell us their favorite butterfly. And then our message should be required. And that should work for that. Then if we save, actually I want to put a spacer around this. Oh, there it is. That's what's, sorry. All right. And then section. This feels like I need to add something to it, but we will save this. Pull up that form, which is not that form, it's this form. All right, refresh. And then, so it starts without us doing any JavaScript to it. And this will also test to see if there's an email address form. It did look for that. It did not look for the com. Subject. And then they need to fill out this form before it will attempt to send it. And not this one. So then, 1 second. Oh, there's no pause button. All right. So we'll shrink this down. We will open up our main JS. Okay. So our function is going to be called validate form. And it will look like this function, validate form, and then open the curly brace. So it's going to go through and test everything all the way through. And then the original file had it where you would display the error messages, but we don't need to do that since it'll check for everything else. So then we noticed that the email address was not correct because it did not have the period.com. So we're going to want to test the email. So we're going to create a variable. We're going to get the form fields. And so the first one is going to be the email address from the document. And then the other one that we want to get is the message because we want to double check that the message is more than, say, 5 characters. And you can't do that on the other side. So then we will bring over from our contact form this little ID information here for the email. You'll see it's on the other ones, and that's not necessary unless you need to test it for something else. It won't do anything either way. And then we have our message error button here, or space here. So those two areas, we're going to address them by ID with email error, and then the message error so that it shows the message error on the form. So then our email error has no text, so our text content is null, or two quotes right next to each other. And then our message error is that as well. So then we are going to validate our email. So what this does is it trims any extra space and then says email is required. It double checks the space that we already have. And then it says we're going to do a regex check to see if there is something of a certain variable value before the @ sign, and then a period, and then something at the end. And it's always best to check your stuff as you go. So we're going to need to include our JavaScript file, which will look very much like this. And we are going to go to our JS file and then main.js. And you only need to include it in the one page that you're using JavaScript in. And then I need to end the script tag. You can also do like that. Then we'll save it and we'll see how well we've done. Let me find that page. Okay. Oh, I think I've done broke it. I've done broke it real good. Okay, let's see. jsmain.js. One second. Oh, I need to add type JavaScript. Sorry, that was my bad. Do it just like it originally did since I broke it. Let's see if the page loads this time. Okay, there we go. So this is the front end, and it wants an at. Oh, and it sent. It didn't even check it. All right. It didn't even give us an error. It just accepted it. We'll need to make sure we send back the fault statement. Sorry, this is the second half of the video. I said we need to make sure that we send back the return is valid statement, and then I promptly hit the button and it stopped recording. So we want to add this return is valid because we're going to check is valid all the way through. And we want to let is value equal true at the very beginning. It was hidden behind the comment in my notes. So let's try that. I will just piece these together. All right. Oh, it's over here. All right. So here it says, please enter a valid email address because it was not passed successfully. So its font color is not, however, bright red. So we can add an error message color to our style CSS. Down here, error message would be red. And if we save it, oh, I have to do this all again. There, and now it is red and bold. I'll pull that back up real quick so everybody can see. The font is bold, the margin is 5 pixels, the font size is 14, and the color is red. Maroon is also acceptable color. So back to this. Now, if we don't want somebody to spam us by sending a whole bunch of messages several times over, we can validate the message. So we're going through, they've set up the right email, and it's a valid email. It doesn't go out and test the server. That used to be something that was done, but now it just says, okay, this is a valid format. You can even go so far as to fix the regex so that it, did I say regex or read it before? Anyway, regex, so that it will look for .com, .net, a viable um, 3 or 2-letter extension. All right, so we've gotten our message above, and it's constant message right here. So we're going to say if this message, which is the variable message, is equal to null, which we already know because we've put it on the form. We don't have to actually test for this, but it helps to add the foundation of the testing um, with if-else statements. So then is valid is false. Then if we check and see if the length is less than 5, then it says your message must be longer than 5 characters. You can make this be anything that you want. You can say 180, and it would be 180 characters, and that's fine. Then if everything is valid, if is valid equals true, because right here we're setting it to false, but here it's true. So if it goes through all of our tests and it's still good, then we'll get an alert that says the email was sent successfully. And this uses the assignation of variables, some if testing, some functions as far as form fields, and the practice with the alert box. So kind of a well-rounded, small little bit of form play JavaScript programming. So we are going to reset the page. And you can code that into that if you have, if they push the reset, that little error goes away. So we're going to say your name is Mrs. Smith. My email is the subject is blue butterfly. And my favorite butterfly, let's see, and a lot of them. Let me see. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Blue Morpho. The Morpho Pleiades, I think is how it's said. And so this is 180 characters. So I'm going to pull some of this from Wikipedia to get, they have all sorts of citations in there, but here we go. That should meet my 180 limit. If not, I'll have to get more. Email sent successfully. And the form resets. So that's a way to incorporate your form. Now you can add content above this. You can add a picture. You could put a picture over here. You can style the form so that it's narrower. if I go in here and we have this form method post and we say, oh, not there, width, there's some storms going on today. Well, that didn't work. Oh, I know, style. My bad. I can't get this form to get any smaller. It is so big, so wide. Oh, hold on. I'm looking at it in the other window. Okay, so here it's made it shorter. I missed that. And then if we want it to be centered, then we'll say, oh no, that just moved all the words. That's no good. That is no good. Nope, I cannot get it to go over. It just keeps moving it further and further over. There we go. It was right where I thought it should have been in the beginning. Sorry. So now the form is centered, and I'll show you. I put margin, the top is 0, and then let me get this out of there because that is not what did it. So I did margin of 0 for the top and the bottom, and then auto to make it center in the middle. And then because of our bootstrap being enabled, it resizes the fields as necessary, but it gives us some breathing room around the outside of them. So fix that. And then here's the main JS file again. Let's validate form, and we validate the form. So on submit, we wait for the return value, and if the return value is true, it will process and give us an alert. And then if it's false, then it will tell us where the error is. So that is the last stretch. Your about page will be completely content that you decide to put in. Our home page is your about page can have pictures, your contact page can have pictures, your home page can have text and pictures, however you want to do it. If you have any questions or something's not working quite right like you expect, let me know. You can send me the code and I can take a look at it and see if there's something that's out of alignment or if you're just looking in the wrong folder. And then there is a final exam in addition to this that you'll need to complete during the last week or during finals week. So hopefully everyone is well on their way with this, and I will post this right away so that everyone can have 2 weeks to work on it. Thanks.